So why Shutterstock Studios? So the exciting part of our offering and as a studio infrastructure is we are hyper flexible with the type of service that we can design and put in place to ensure that we are absolutely set up appropriately for the budget and timeline for every single project. So for a number of our partners, everything always revolves around the creative, right? So the creative brief, what are the KPIs, what are the content objectives and goals? So as a studio service, we are very far upstream with a number of our brand partners in collaborating across creative development, ideation, content strategy. We then can be a little bit further downstream in that we obviously are putting forward director thoughts and importantly photographer thoughts as well from our network, which I'm going to be talking about. We then do all of the casting, location scouting, props, wardrobe, all of that work that a very traditional production services would do. And so then we go and produce the job soup to nuts, inclusive of post-production. So number one and number two here, very traditional. You know, there's a lot of places and production services and solutions in the industry that can do that. We do it very, very well. But it's 3 and 4 that are really an exciting part of why I'm excited to be talking to you guys across the MLA is this is a unique offering and solution because we are part of an enormous content licensing company. And so very recently, just in the past few months, we have also been doing as added value what we describe as catalog, where we house and store and organize all of the assets that we're collecting and shooting for the client. So if we're going to go and shoot for a client a photo project for a major sports brand over multiple shoot days and multiple geos, we're going to be capturing thousands of assets, and all of those assets can then be stored on catalog, organized, tagged, and they can then share that globally with their teams across different geos as they need the content for different types of purposes and functions. And then ultimately at number 4, we can optimize further all of those assets for different types of distribution. So this is a really very, very fresh, very kind of unique opportunity for us to be ensuring that there is no waste. This is going to be a part of the theme that I talk at the very end around our sustainability. But it means that every single clip or image or file or footage, piece of footage, nothing goes to waste, because ultimately what we believe is that we're shooting enough content to last them for over a course of a number of different campaigns and purposes. So they can always go back to this asset library that we've developed and shot for them. Typically over one project, we would deliver, say 100 to 200 images or 50 images, however many images that are predetermined in the SW stage. And they would pay for those images, but yet they could have access to all of the other images that we've shot to do a kind of pay and play process. So it's a really unique, very fresh, full 360 service. And also the reason why I was drawn to launch a studio within Shutterstock is there already existed this phenomenal global production infrastructure and solution that's really driven by our creative network. So this is, again, a really unique offering because as Shutterstock Studios and part of the much larger Shutterstock family, we have access to around 2 million contributors. I believe it's 1.8 million contributors globally. That is a ton of people that can pick up a camera and shoot something. So out of that 1.8 million people, we have currently, and the process is ongoing, filtered about 30,000 creatives globally that are part of a kind of what we describe as a commercial quality. It includes photographers, videographers, DPs, directors, producers, editors, animators, illustrators, graphic designers. It is so vast and expansive. And it means, and it enables us to be able to produce content at scale at almost any AOV price point. That's a very unique service and offer. In addition to that powerhouse of creativity that really is the engine behind the studio, I also have in-house teams in Sydney, Tokyo, Seoul, London, New York, Toronto, and LA. And really just in this past year that I've been here, I'm constantly amazed at where in the world we have shot. It's it's a very impressive and very versatile studio and offering that we have here. And speak to a specific example around this need for asset libraries. So it really was about 6 or 7 months ago when I was talking to a number of massive brands and also social media platforms, where they were just not happy with their own asset library of content that they can use across all different types of purposes, marketing materials, internal decks, commercial material, whatever is needed. They were just not happy. They felt their asset library was dated. That happened over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, completely unrelated. That lots of brands I was speaking to were just so unhappy with their asset library. And the reason why there was that sincere unhappiness was it felt like the locations and the cast that was shot in these asset libraries was so dated, it needed to be completely overhauled and refreshed. Authenticity is a word that came up in every single brand conversation around asset libraries, and it comes up in almost every brand meeting I have. The need for authentic content. I love that because we can go and produce authentic content very, very quickly at scale globally. And the reason why we're so successful at producing authenticity is because we can plug into these local creators and creatives that are giving us a complete direct line into a local cultural zeitgeist of what's going on in that local geo, the kind of cultural norms and needs. And so this, for example, is an example where we had one project for one client. We shot in 9 different global cities and delivered over 500 assets without traveling a single person. The sustainability key there as well, but it also just elevates the work. It elevates the end product and the creativity in the final product, because we have locals that we're working with that are giving us ideas and thoughts of different types of locations and geos and props and wardrobe and styling and photographer recommendations that otherwise we just wouldn't get. And of course, the no travel piece, in addition to the sustainability, it saves us thousands and thousands of dollars not having to travel a single person.